It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.
What do you mean that my baking bread is pervy?
It's pervy, it's therapeutic, but it's something that, and I hate to say this because I represent the streets, Tom.
Yes, I've always known that about you.
And it's just the way you do it, you know, and I know your fans know it. First off, I feel like whenever I watch you make bread, I feel like you're trying to seduce me. Right? In certain cultures, that would be offensive. In my culture, it's offensive, but we don't play that shit. All right? But it's the way you do it, you would need, right? The way you need it. And then where's my camera?
Right
This
here.
is my camera.
Yeah.
Like, you put attention to the bread, and then when you really go in, you look into the camera.
That is true.
I'm telling you, look into the camera, and it's just something about the separation of the breast. I mean, the bread. What is that thing called? Is it a knife? It's got to be a special
bench knife.
A bench knife.
Yeah,
Right?
that separates,
When
yeah.
you separate that, and then you have them apart, and then you go back into the camera. And somebody caught me. They caught me watching you make bread. You know, I was looking like, oh my God. It was like, what are you doing? I was like, nothing, man.
Is it weird that you sometimes hear me muttering under my breath, hey, Donnell?
Yeah, it's a different tone. But I've learned to accept bread makers.
All right, good.
And you're the only person I know that makes bread.
I brought you my favorite bread because I just got off the road, so I couldn't give you my bread. But this is from Lodge Bread.
Wait, what is it?
Bread.
Whose bread?
Lodge Bread. Lodge.
I know what lodge means, and you said that to me like I don't know how to read or write.
You asked twice.
No.
I
don't want to make this racial.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
But when a white man looks at you in your face and they're not making bread, and they look at you like lodge, like I understand the word, and the reason why I look at you like that because.
Yeah.
How do I get, no disrespect to lodge bread.
Right.
I want your bread.
I know you do.
And when I came here, we were thinking about getting some lunch. And first off, I was on time. Not like a lot of other people that you know. I was on time.
You're always on time.
Right? And I said to myself, you want to get, I was like, no, I know Tom is going to have some of that breast bread.
The booby bread.
Yeah, the booby bread. And accompanied with some breast milk and my espresso, then I'm winning, buddy.
Well, I was worried.
Damn.
I was coming off the road, so I was a little pressed for time. Yeah, it's
This
good.
is dope.
Yeah, these are my guys.
Take it out. Reveal it. Do the.
Easy.
have a setup.
Can
Yeah.
I see your
Way
baguette?
people edit.
I heard your baguette is
this
big.
could go crazy. Take it out.
Let me
Take
see
it out,
that big
Donnell.
old baguette.
Oh,
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah.
yes. The
Yeah.
girth in this bread
Yeah.
is amazing.
It's girthy.
And it's that dark, veiny line. It's
You
going down the
see,
middle.
and I'm the pervy one.
I just follow your lead, bro.
That's so
But
great.
thanks for the bread. This is
You're
real
welcome. Well, I knew you were traveling too, so I didn't know if a loaf of bread was gonna.
It's gonna be good.
Gonna be
First,
all right.
I want to thank you for having me on the podcast.
It's so good
All
to
right.
see you.
I love
and
you, man.
congratulations. This really, I mean, a lot of people have specials and things going on
Wait a
to
minute. I'm
promote.
sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, whatever. But you look like this is about to be really personal.
Yeah.
What, you're special?
Kira?
No, the tardy thing.
Oh.
Oh, me? No, it's totally fine.
No, I
You're
don't
a
think
big
so.
star.
Oh no!
Listen, you got
I'm not a
dropped
big
off.
star.
She
Am I
was-
a big star?
Hold on.
Kira was late.
You got dropped off.
No.
I was not late. I got here
So
10
what's
You're a star. I
what
get
is
it.
triggering you?
No,
What is
no.
triggering you about the word late?
Listen, I get it.
Hmm?
And you are a big deal. And I'm going to remind you where we met in a minute. So I'm in an
Farmers
alley.
market?
I'm in an alley next to this building.
Right.
And there's a massive, way too big, like compensating for something, SUV.
I wasn't driving. The only way you
Listen,
compensate if you're
listen,
driving.
Listen.
Okay.
Someone booked it for you.
Okay.
And it's sitting there. And I'm like, let's go. And I'm waiting.
Oh, it
And
was your
it's
fancy
blocking
car.
the alley. And then you, my friend, come out. And I was like, really?
Oh, it was me?
It was you.
But you know what? Now
it was you. And your driver, not your fault, but your driver left the vehicle She left the vehicle. You know she left the vehicle. I saw her with her little blonde ponytail.
But you are.
And she leaves the vehicle, and I'm like, and I don't honk because I am polite.
You're not a honky?
But I know it's you.
No, that's
and
what
I
you
go,
know. Honker. Okay, honker.
And I know
Okay.
you are early.
Why do you act like that is such a surprise?
I'm not. I'm just saying now it's going to look bad because your earliness made me tardy.
Oh.
It's going to look bad for me because I'm looking for a parking spot.
So you were pushing it. You were pushing it.
I was.
You didn't give yourself enough time to compensate.
Yes.
No.
I
And
always
just
say
further-
half
further
hour
your
early.
Conversation. You said because I'm a big star, and you're right.
You had a car
Because
drop you off, which is amazing.
I didn't have a car. Netflix booked me a car.
I love
Yeah.
it. But that blonde ponytail was bouncing around
Don't threaten me
on
with
the
a good time.
outside.
Who's this driver?
And I'm like,
Red farmer's market blonde ponytail.
And I'm like, this
I'm ready to
chick-
make some bread.
she better get back in this car immediately because it's making me, every second she bounces around this big old Escalade is a second that I'm later. So anyways, I was stuck behind your SUV, your car
So
service.
I apologize.
It's not your fault.
I apologize for that.
You know it's not
And
your
I'm
fault.
so happy that I wasn't the one that was tardy.
Well, that's what I wanted to say before we just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Sincerely, you've a new day, your new special on Netflix.
Yeah.
And you and I have known each other for a long time, banging around clubs, doing stuff, and people have specials and it's cool and people release stuff and do whatever. Am I wrong that it feels like this is a special moment? This feels like for people like ourselves,
Yeah.
who I put us in the category of a slow burn.
100%.
Fun, strong careers, always getting bigger, always. But for you to have this moment now on Netflix, it just feels to me like this well-deserved mile marker.
You nailed it. And the question I've been getting is like, first off, when you hear the word special, it doesn't excite you like it used to be back in the day. When you heard of an HBO special, you know what I'm saying?
were so
That was
few.
back in the day. It was like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and it was all about that. And people abuse the word special. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, there's nothing special about it. The next time I hear
Yeah.
a guy that's been doing comedy for 2 years, I'm shooting my first hour special. I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
But the question you asked me, like, and it's a very good question. Does it feel special? And it does feel special. And the reason why it feels special, and I tell people this all the time, had like 25 years ago, when I didn't have, if you want to say, a name or whatever, and I was still grinding, whatever, I would have looked at that like, this is the calling card. This is how I'm going to introduce people to myself.
Right.
People are going to know me for this. But now, after 32 years, and I've built somewhat of a name for myself, where that I'm not chasing that part.
Right.
And what makes it special is just like, I feel like this is a project that not like I wanted, but I think my fans, my friends, my family wanted more than anything.
Ah,
You know what I'm
interesting.
saying?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
that you care about it, but the fact that you can make that statement and say we've been a tortoise.
Yeah.
We've been a tortoise our career, but we've had hair moments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they lap us, and then another year we'll lap, and it's a slow situation. But now I feel like it's deserving. I don't think that it's like a lot of, you see some specials like this. Okay, who do we have to give a special now?
Yeah.
Transgender comedian. You know what I mean? Like, it's what's going on there. Like, we need an Asian amputee. No disrespect. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Right.
this
Of the moment.
in the moment. But I feel like, and not just me saying this, but the people that's been following me for years.
Yeah.
I think that it's I really believe that it's their time.
Wow,
You
that's
know?
a good way to look at it. Yeah, because, and when I say like a slow burn, I don't mean like failing in any way, because you've had this
When you
really
say slow
strong
burn to me, I'm
career.
thinking that's a blunt, but go ahead.
You had this really good career, and people know you, and it's been really solid. And the great thing about comedy is that you get better through the years, and you just build it. And it's not like you're in a
not
movie.
all comics, Tom. The great thing about great comics
Right.
is they get better.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have that experience. And I said something the other day. I'm 56 years old, right?
Right.
And I still have the energy of a comic that's doing open mic.
Right.
And I said something on the platform. I said, I'm 56 years old, and I said, and I feel like I'm about to blow up. Right?
Yeah.
It's hard for a guy our age to feel that way because we've been through so much.
Yeah.
And then from the generation that I came through, whatever, they can't feel that way because they're not going to have that opportunity. And the reason why they're not going to have that opportunity because they don't have the right people in their life. They're not playing the right spots, and they are not going to be in a place where people could see them.
Right.
And I still, and I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's butt or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I still have that hunger as if 20 years ago. And somebody asked me the other day, they said, Donnell, with this special drop, they said, what's next? I was like, I don't care. And the reason why I don't care is because I think ultimately a true stand-up comic, the thing that you want out of this business the most is to be able to put your name on the marquee and create a good living for yourself.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. To be able to look, I mean, I remember back in the day when I was just waiting for the phone to ring for a gig. Yeah. And it's like just the phone ring, okay, send a deposit. You know, like I was living off of deposit money. I need half right now. Right. I don't care what ticket you hustle. I need half right now. Yeah. But to be able to look, this is what I feel like what making it is for me in this profession. Yeah. Finding your God-given talent and be able to make money up. To look at my schedule and say I am booked for the entire year, whether NBC, CBS, whether anybody give me a deal, as a minimum, I can still create a living off of something that you can't take away from me.
Yeah, exactly. You know? You've got a career. You've got people, your people, and showing up, and that's this special is going to be. It's going to solidify. It's going to bring more people in. When you say the people in your life that it's for them, who's on the top of that list?
My immediate family. Yeah. Mom, brother, sister, the mother of my child, baby mom, because it's just, I'll be like, bitch, I told you I was going to make it. Excuse me, I don't feel that way at all.
But they're still not paying me, just to be clear.
You left me at the wrong time. No, I don't feel that way at all.
Just to be clear.
No, but it's like, it's interesting. It's people that go back as far as when I used to live in Washington, D.C., when I used to be a security guard at a grocery store, is those people that urged me to go to a comedy club, to go to open mics. You know, those are the people, the ones that, as we say in the streets, those day one people. Those people like this, man, I know you're going to get it. You're going to get it. Those people. And those people get mad at the new people.
Right. You know, I knew him when.
Yeah, they know him when. But it's those people. Yeah. But for some reason during my career, the people that follow me, they really become fans and supportive. Yeah. And I think that what makes them feel good about this is because they see a lot of people, and I don't never compare or compete. They see a lot of people like, wait a minute, this person got that. This guy should have that. You know, I never get caught up in that because your time is when it's your time. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I tell everybody the best thing you could do in this business is enjoy the journey.
Yeah, 100%.
The journey is fun. I mentor people, and they're like, okay, Donnell, what I need to, I was like, first off, in this business, you have to know how to be happy being broke. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be most of your career. You know what I mean? Especially when we came up. It's different now because you could just go viral. Next thing you know, you're selling ads for like $1,000 a pop. Yeah. But you have to be happy with being broke, and you got to understand that there's going to be another another part of it.
Right, so, How do you know Donnell? Where did you meet?
We met.
Why am I so nervous right now?
I know. I can only.
What did I do?
I can only imagine.
I pull out a Maury Povich envelope.
Oh,
you
my
are
God.
the father. We met in London.
We did?
Really?
We did. Remember that show on Comedy Central, World Stands Up?
I remember that, yeah.
We shot that together.
And we rode on a train together.
We did.
And I got drunk, and I forgot everything.
No, did you get drunk? I don't remember that part.
No.
I remember going the night before we did the shoot. Remember they took us to a pub out in the boonies, like out in the suburbs. Oh gosh!
No, go ahead.
Are
I'm
you
sorry.
feeling bread? Are you feeling bread?
You said,
boonies,
man, I want some bread
boonies.
in the boonies. Yeah.
And we.
Oh, it was like way
yes,
up.
and we did a little pub show because they wanted us to feel kind
they
of
wanted
comfortable.
us to warm up
because it's it's a British audience. It's a little different. You destroyed, and then the next night was our shoot, and the comic in front of you, and we don't have to say names, she got booed off stage.
No, we have to say
Whoa.
that.
No, we don't have
No, we're in the world.
air.
We live in the world now where we expose people. At least in my community.
Well, not.
We expose, we clap back. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
We
want to get
respond.
canceled.
Oh, no.
I know you know all the mental health words now because I watched your special.
She got
I know.
booed. She got booed off
She
stage.
did, and she cried, and it was heartbreaking. And then you
She wasn't
followed
supposed
her.
to be there.
Maybe not.
No, I'm just joking.
But maybe not. No,
Right,
in
right.
all seriousness, probably not. And
No, we got to say her name because we have to make her relevant.
no,
We're helping. We're helping.
Yeah, we have like this.
absolutely not.
No, go ahead.
But you, I'll never forget the bit. First of all, you came out and you talked to these Brits. You were like, "You guys are fucked up." You guys, yes, they booed her off stage.
Right, it happened.
Oh,
you-
and then he came up
and
after.
then you were next, and and I don't know how they're gonna cut it, right? Because I'm watching this, I'm like, how are they gonna cut this? What if they don't?
But
cut?
why did they boo her?
Well, why do comics get booed?
Some of them chose
Okay.
under pressure of the
Okay,
lights.
all right, there we
You
go.
know what I'm saying? Some people
Yeah.
you got some of it, they misread the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them think they are something bigger than what they really are.
Okay, so there's your reasons.
And some of
all
them,
three of those,
some of them just suck.
maybe.
And some of them just not supposed
Are
to
they
be
still
there.
working?
I think so.
How did she get there? Was this before? This was for Me Too. Did she blow somebody to get on the show?
I could not. It wasn't me. She didn't
No, I'm
blow
just
me.
saying
That's
that
for
back
sure.
in the day, that's how you. That was an audition.
There
But I
seems
know-
to be a big thing going on now in comedy where people are calling each other out. If they had success, they must have blown somebody.
Where did you get this information? Because I just had an incident with a comic about that.
You did?
Oh my God, we talked
It's
about
true,
that.
right? Like Kat
it's
was
not-
talking about it.
Yeah, Cat was, but there's a theory,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's usually, not saying it's exclusive to Matt. These people create these theories. A lot of times they're bitter people. A lot of times they're people that had
Yeah.
opportunities and they blew it, so they have to make excuses on why they aren't at a certain place.
Right, because they're not blowing people.
Yeah, and I just had a conversation with that, and I feel like I don't want to say that person's name, whatever, right? But I got triggered because this comic was going around. He just like he's upset with everybody, and he always God damn it. The other day I went to a show and he said, "If you a comic, no, if you."
Is he saying this on stage?
Yeah, he said, "Don't say if you've been in over 3 movies, you've gave someone fellatio."
Okay.
But he said it in the street way. He said,
Uh-huh.
"I'm sorry,
Yeah.
suck the dick."
Right.
All right. And I was triggered by that.
Right.
And the reason why, because I was looking at my IBMD, right?
I've been in a bunch of
I've
stuff.
been in 3 movies. I was like, wait a minute. I've been in 3 movies and I stayed dick free.
Yeah, what's wrong
Right.
with me, right? Why am
Yeah.
I not good enough?
It's the trend. That's what people are.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. But then I was like, wait a minute, you didn't really proof this joke because I looked at his IBMD and he'd been in 6 movies.
So yeah.
He didn't do the math. So he double
Or maybe he did. Maybe he's
He had a
experienced.
double fist. I think he double fist.
Maybe he's talking from
But
experience.
I think that this thing is, that notion is
Yeah.
exclusive to black comedians.
It seems to be a recent trend.
Yeah. And the reason why is because black people are very homophobic.
Uh-huh.
I just got over like 10 years ago.
Right.
I just had to quit. There was no place for me to be homophobic anymore.
There's
You
no
know what I
safe
mean?
homophobic spaces.
Yeah, I was just like, I threw the towel. I fought for it too. I fought so hard. The last bit of the homophobia for me, and I know this sounds so stupid, I thought that there was gay chewing gum.
What?
You know the big freshen up gum with the jelly shit in the middle?
Yeah.
I call it the bus off gum. Cum gum. I call it cum gum, right? And I thought, like,
I'm very upset right now because that was my Nana's favorite gum.
so how many movies?
She always
was-
had some
how
in her
many
bag.
movies was your Nana in? If she enjoyed
Yeah,
that?
She always had
chewed
some in
that
her bag.
gum. I got it in my
I'm
eye
telling you, if
before.
you gave
It
me, I
is-
got a piece
yeah.
of that gum one time and it popped in my mouth and I felt so violated. But then nobody understood
my
my pain
God.
so much, so I just had to let it go. But it is true, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like-
yeah, it seems like it's like a recent like slam. Like, you know,
yeah. But where does it come from? You never heard that from your community.
no. There's also, yeah, well, I mean,
No, of course it's been around. Sleeping around to get a job. That's been around
No, no, no,
forever.
no.
yeah, but it seems like it's a comedian slam against other comedians who are like, you know, in Kat's Kat's infamous
And I think that
interview, he was
I
saying,
think this was specific to men.
right.
Okay.
That's what I thought it was.
Okay,
Right,
because
right,
you know
right.
this is going on for women for a
Women
long time.
For sure.
Careers have been built
I'm
on
sitting
it.
here going, do these guys just realize right now that women are asked for blowjobs all the time for decades and decades?
But there's a lot of not a lot, but there's a bunch of comedians kind of like throwing shade against other comedians, and they're saying they're only successful because they must have done this.
Okay. Well,
But you know what? You are so PC. It's not a bunch of comedians. It's a bunch of black comics.
Yeah,
That's what it is. You don't hear this. You don't hear this in your community. You haven't heard this, and I've heard just people like, I don't like it. I don't like the dark cloud over black comic or black comics. It's awful. And like for you to make that notion, so you just take it away from like. So I got this situation because I did that. It has nothing to do with my work ethics. It has nothing to do with me studying. It has nothing to do with me staying out of trouble. Nothing. The only way I could be in this position because of that. I think that's BS.
right.
You know.
It seems like the rap thing, like it's like we're calling each other out. There's like white comics. All comics have competition. You're seeing people you want to move up and stuff like that, and white people mutter it to each other, like
the anger and the hate.
That guy's not shit.
Yeah, but that's what they do. Like people say this, it's like, yeah, why black people tear each other down? White people don't do that. Yes, they do, but white people put it under the umbrella of a roast.
Right.
When
right.
white hate you, like, I hate you. Like, let's do the Papa roast. And that's when they go in.
It's cathartic. It's let it out.
It is awful. And you guys are way worse. Those roasts. And it's like a subtle smile. Like you say something that just questions the person's livelihood and everything. It's like, it's just jokes. But they hurt me. I don't want to be hurt. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think it is, though? Why do you think? Why?
For some reason, I believe that in my community, we only think you could be one top dog at a time.
Right.
You don't want to share the stage. You don't want to think that like it's only it's only one person could be there, and you're competing with that person opposed to just competing with yourself.
Right.
There's room in there for everybody, but everybody they say one time it's like, oh, it's almost like this. Okay, it can be Eddie Murphy, and then it could be Kevin Hart, then it could be Cat Williams. But to be quite honest, it could be everybody at the same time.
Right. Exactly.
well, and it is, but I think, okay, I'm going to push back a little bit on this. I feel like sometimes the black community is more inclusive. Like they'll say like, okay, we're gonna do, Monique and Friends, or Tiffany did that. Tiffany
I did
Haddish.
that. I was a part of Monique and Friends.
Right, and Tiffany Haddish was like, they ready or whatever, and I know Chappelle takes people on, and I feel like you guys are actually, you do look out for. I'm sure there's still competition, right? Because we've now learned the backstory of the kings of comedy. Right. Now that we all know there was massive competition. I thought they were all friends.
Oh no!
And then I find out
they weren't,
absolutely
but
not.
They were all friends for a check, and I'm not disrespect. They are friends because, separately, they all stood on their own. But it was just something about that phrase, kings of comedy. Yeah, that was so strong that they had so many different options. That was like kings of DC, kings of Wyoming. You know what I mean? It was just like when you associate the word kings, it was like a group of them. Yeah. But you got to realize that's with anything. When you put that many people together, there's going to be some dissension. There's going to be some people with attitudes or whatever. And like, if eventually it's going to fall apart. Yeah. Because everybody wants to be a star.
And also, I think that the comedians that are currently working and doing their stuff, you don't hear that talk. I think it's a lot of times when there's bitterness, when there's people who are like feeling like maybe they're on the outs, then those things start coming up. Comedian to comedian, just on the scene, hanging at the cellar, at the comedy store, whatever, you don't hear that.
But the bitterness and the anger comes from, this is what you can be mature enough to say to yourself, this is the reason why I am not in this position, because I did this and I did that. But when you see somebody that has surpassed you or whatever, especially if you think that you from that same generation and whatever, their success is a reflection of your failures and what you haven't done. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't mean it that way, but it's like you're rubbing it in my face.
Right, yeah. I remember with being at the Comedy Cellar once, and I was sitting with Nick DiPaolo. And that
was a nice segue. Speaking of anger.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Nick was really pissed off at somebody's success. Just what you're saying. Right. And And I was like trying to be like, I was like, but you know, Nick, there's a lot of times in any business, you know, somebody who doesn't deserve it gets a promotion over somebody who does deserve it. And
Right.
it happens in every business. And he goes, yeah, Tom, but in other businesses, you don't have to see that guy's face on the side of a bus.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Or on a billboard or whatever. But I always look at it like this. I've never been in any competition with anybody but myself.
Yeah.
And then especially with people that come from where I came from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I look at them as an example, like, you know what? This is an example of it can happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It can happen.
Yeah.
And even when everything was going with the Cat Williams and then all the naming of these comics and this person, first off, some people feel like you have to have the same path as they had.
Right.
You know, like, you didn't come from the streets. You came from the festivals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but that's a big argument.
Yeah.
You didn't, well, Kevin Hart, he didn't come from the streets. He didn't do the same grind. And whenever I get really defensive when you make comments like about Kevin Hart, when you make comments about Dave Chappelle, especially when I see these comics that think they are so funny, and they like, that guy, they're not funny. I'm like, well, look at it this way. This non-funny person has made himself a multi-millionaire,
Yeah.
right? Have created generational wealth for their entire family and everything. And I mean, remember, you said this non-funny person.
Yeah.
Now you, as the funniest motherfucker you know,
Yeah.
are here. Maybe you need to stop focusing on funny. You know, it's just, it's
Hey, how was the experience when you guys were doing the shows in Ohio during the pandemic, and like you guys were the first ones to kind of put up a stage, find a space. Dave was like, we're still going, and I would only see it on social media, but what was it like performing in those shows?
I'll tell you this, man. For a lot of people, 2020 was the worst year of their life.
Yeah.
And I have to honestly say this, 2020 was one of the best years of my motherfucking life.
It looked like it.
And the reason why I said because first off, that camp was one of the first people to create a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But we could not let people know how much fun we were having because they would say we were being irresponsible.
Right.
Right.
You're going to kill my grandmother.
Yeah. Oh, I don't believe you. And it was so bad. Like, the people got mad at me because I have rich friends. You know?
Right.
Somebody said, like, Dave got a hold of a rapid testing machine before the government did. You know? Like, before
That's
the government.
That's the kind of friend you need.
Like, yo, we had a rapid test for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. He's out there in the country. The idea of the summer camp at first, it was like he wanted to see his friends.
Right.
And he spent a lot of money to see his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, but the thing about it, you can't give a black man a testing machine like that for the first time. He was crazy with it. I felt like he was raping my nose. Like, he got into, like, he was going way back here. Right? So, and then the minute we post a picture, like, look at him. He don't got no mask on or whatever. But we just tested. Like, we just tested. Yo, but you can't do that. Y'all not being responsible. Somebody told me, oh, Donnell, it must be nice to have rich friends that can afford tests. I was like, you're absolutely right.
100%.
And I love it.
Yeah.
But the measures he took, not just to make us safe, the entire town.
Yeah.
Like, he would, like, give free, remember when people's like this, I can't get tested, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a week. Like, he was, not just us,
Yeah.
but everybody around it.
Wow.
The hotel where he would send people. And then he would, man, this dude had jets coming from New York,
Yeah.
Atlanta, L.A.,
Yeah.
right? And it was just I remember when Jon Stewart came for the first time, right?
Right.
Jon Stewart was like, this is the first time I had contact with anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, man, that feeling of getting that negative result and hugging somebody,
Yeah.
it was the best.
We
feeling
had
in the
that
world.
moment. Remember when we did that corporate gig at my house? We did that Zoom thing, and it was like one of the first times we were around someone, and we hugged each other goodbye.
Yes.
I still feel that hug.
Yes.
Really, I still feel that
But
hug.
I'm going to tell you what it did for me, and I think a lot of people, it made you realize how I consider Hollywood to be overrated. And when I say that, it really gave you you had to appreciate during the pandemic.
Yeah.
if you didn't appreciate the simple things in life, you are out of control. Simple things like to drive down the street and see playgrounds empty.
Yeah.
Swings not swinging.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Nobody at the to go down Times Square, and it was like you could see tumbleweeds coming down like that. We're past it now.
Yeah.
But that was a moment in history that you like. What the hell
What
just
the
happened?
hell happened?
Like the entire world
And
shutting
how's it
down.
going to affect? Because you have a son. How old is your
he's
son?
8. Yeah.
He's 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have an 8-year-old daughter. So they were at a very important time in their lives. They were starting kindergarten.
That's how it was.
Right.
We had to bring
How
our
is
son
this going to
back.
affect them?
Well, it affected us. We had to. Well, he was young when he started, but his first school it was kindergarten, and he just couldn't do it on the laptop.
No.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
I
I
took
was
my
back
kids
and
off.
forth.
Yeah.
And we took it off. We brought him. We said, all right, because he started so young, he can pass that year. But it was just like he was too distracted.
Yeah.
And at that age, whatever, it's hard to get a kid to be in front of a laptop or whatever.
God.
But I would tell people, and people like, oh, it must be. This was a big deal for me. They're like, oh, it must be. I know it must have been hard for you not to work. I didn't care about working. I cared about money. But the reason why I was like, during the pandemic, since my son was born, that was the most time I spent with my son consecutively since he was born.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like 3 months with nothing. We got so connected and everything. Like
Yeah.
So
that
great.
was the beauty of it. And we did the whole when we were out in Yellow Springs that first year, we did like 60 shows.
Wow.
Right? The bubble didn't pop.
Yeah.
Right? But Dave is so greedy. He's so greedy. We wanted to go through the summer. We got through the whole summer, right? 60 shows. Yeah, we did it. And he was like, yeah, let's get another week. And it was that week the bubble popped.
Oh, really?
It popped. Bob Saget had came then
Right.
at that time.
Right.
R.I.P. Bob Saget. Like we were supposed to, because I was doing I became the river ninja. Right, I was doing outside activities. You know, with everybody being there, you got people in the same town, but
Yeah.
we had to do stuff. And Dave's wife started doing she was like the scout leader at first. Like we were like, oh, we're gonna do sipping wine. I was like, nobody want to do no goddamn sipping wine. And then I was not down with the activities until she took us. We said we're gonna do canoeing and kayaking, right? And I hadn't done it. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
And we went down there. I fell in love with the river.
Oh, wow.
I fell in love with that peace.
Nice.
I fell in love with everything. And that's when I became the river ninja. I just roughed that job.
What does that mean?
The river ninja, it's like I just was a guy that loved the peace that the river. Okay, first off, I said the river's something else, but that wasn't socially accepted. I mean,
Okay.
that wasn't accepted.
Okay.
It's like, can we sip?
Do you want to write on a piece of
No.
paper? Slip
They
it to us?
They were like, can we get another word? I was like, man, this is who I am, right? They was like, you're the river ninja.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes.
And I'm going to tell you what connected me. I was floating down the river with one of my friends, right? And this is when we was reflecting on what was really important in life. And we were smoking a joint where we passed the joint. And the dude was like, man, this is what life is all about. He said, Donnell, reminds me of, crawdad fishing with my dad.
Yeah.
Jumping ramps with my dad.
Yeah.
And he thought I was gonna be like, oh, but I'm like, those years my dad was locked up.
Oh,
right.
no.
So, but the point I make with that is that I didn't have those experiences with my dad, but it immediately made me think that I want to have those experiences with my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make me feel like that I'm not excited about Hollywood anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I could deal with being in Ohio with the simple life. I could deal with a town of 2,000 people where a grocery store closes at a certain time. You got one strip where you're not getting in trouble. I really got connected to that. And during that whole process, it was something that was so connecting about the river. One thing, to see black people from the city going on the river for the first time, not knowing how to dress, like Talib Kweli showed up with Timberlands and white socks, like brand new. Nobody had no Tevas, right?
Right.
And then I said to myself, Joe, I don't care about Hollywood. I said, this is what I said. I said, I'm about to go from the streets to the creeks. I'm going from the hoods to the woods. I'm going from whores to oars. I'm going from Adidas to Tevas. I was a river ninja.
I love it.
That summer that I was in Ohio, I never thought I would get excited about the simple life. I used to get erections in TJ Maxx parking lot.
Who hasn't, though?
Yo,
Just for the gear?
I'm going to tell you who hasn't.
Just
Dude from Brooklyn.
Just from the gear?
Just
knowing
I was like this. I need a pink Himalayan salt shaker. I need something that's on clearance. I was like, oh, red tag, $19.99. I was experiencing my bread the way you were out there, and I was like, I
It's
fell in love with
beautiful.
that. We did all those shows, and then when the bubble popped, and this is what's so dope about Dave. Now, all these people that were having these sushi dinners and being flown in on a private jet, and we're playing kickball, and we're doing kayak and everything. All these people are like, yeah, Dave, you're the greatest. When the bubble popped, now everybody's like, oh, God,
Right.
what did I do? Fuck you, Dave. And people like was kind of trying to hold him responsible.
Oh, jeez.
And then I said to Dave, I was like, he was the only person that had a cool head, right?
You're right.
Like everybody's freaking out. I said, Dave, I said, damn, man. I said, we almost did it, man. We almost, but he said, Donnell, he said, don't let anything take away from what we did. He said, and this is what he said. He said, this is the reason why we test.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
catch it.
Yeah, exactly.
To
Then you found
understand.
it.
So did everybody get it when you say the
No,
bubble
that's
pop?
what everybody, that first time, no, everybody didn't get it.
Okay.
Right? The thing is, once it pops, you think it's going to keep blowing and blowing, right? I think the first day we had 2 negatives, third day like 3 negatives or whatever, and then look 4. And normally when it's supposed to balloon, it started going down. The reason why, because we started quarantining.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We found it before it could go crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And for that, nobody died.
Right.
Some people they was fucked up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
But for the most part, we got through it, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time the bubble popped. Here's Dave pushing it again. We did a residency in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
right? At what is it? It was a Stubbs or whatever. It's like a pavilion type of situation.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we had the whole floor.
Yeah.
We had the whole floor at the Line Hotel. We were doing all these shows, and we was good. And then the bubble popped,
Right.
right? And it was so funny because backstage, we used to have so many people back there. We had food set up and everything.
Yeah.
It was like, ooh, ooh. And then in lunchtime, we used to have dope lunch. And I was the DLC, Director of Craft Services. So I would coordinate meals.
I love how
every
you
day.
always have titles.
Yeah, because I make them up.
Yeah. It's good.
I just say I'm going to be the DOC. Anything acronym, like, oh, I didn't know you were the DOC, right? So we would do, and I would coordinate these lunches. And it was so funny because that was the meet. Everybody went there like, Donnell, what's for lunch? And it's so funny. It was like be 26 people. Then when the bubble started popping, it went from like 26 to like 20 to like 15 to like 4 people to like everybody's on their own.
Right. Eating in the room.
Backstage went from like all these people back there to like a couple people.
Yeah.
And we was like, pop, pop, pop. It was popping, pop, 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 pop. And nobody, and then I remember we was like, oh, we still good, right? And I remember one day, Cena, Dave's road manager, no, it wasn't him. He had already popped. He was gone. So now it's like me, one other comic, and a DJ. That's who's in the green room. Then Jake security, he came up. He said, he didn't have to say anything. I just saw COVID, the look of somebody tested positive on his face. He came in, he did like this. He was like, I knew what that meant. This meant Dave got it.
Oh.
Right? That's the last person we was trying to say,
Right,
right? When
yeah.
he was like this. He said, I was like, what? He said, boss man got it. I was like, it's over.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the level of responsibility
Yeah.
that Dave took. You know what he could have
Yeah.
done? He could have stayed in his truck,
Yeah.
went up on stage with nobody around, went up on stage, did the show. We shut it down.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the funny part was, it's a packed house. And they're like getting antsy that they want the show to go on, right? So then I know the show is not going on. So Cena comes up to me, and Cena never really shows him that much love, right? This day he's like, hey, Donnell. He was like, I need you to, this motherfucker said, he said, I need you to go out there and tell the audience there won't be no show. I said, no, you don't need me to do that.
No.
I said, you got a DJ
I'm
for
the
that.
DLC.
Yeah, I'm the DLC. DLC don't do that. And I was like, because I knew, I was like, not that, I said, I can't do that. The reason why, because if I go out there and they see my face, they think it's showtime.
Right.
And it's going to be hard for me to be a comedian to deliver bad news.
Yeah, you need someone with a clipboard.
Yeah, clipboard or a
need an
DJ like a
intern.
uka. Because I'm like this. I know if I go out there, it's going to be, because that crowd loves me.
Yeah.
The minute I break the plane of that, ooh,
Yeah.
Angela, and I'm a performer. So I'm not
So
going to
you're
be.
gonna do a set anyway.
I'm going to do 5 minutes before I let them go.
Yeah, it'll
Like,
be a
no.
show, right?
They're lighting
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Like, no, COVID, get out of here. But I will say, man, if there's any way to get COVID, it's to get COVID with a group of people like that in a hotel where you have two floors rented out. It was like COVID camp, and it was like when it happened.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is what you got to do. The minute you go to your room, right? They would send you go to your room. Maybe 2 minutes after that, you got vitamins, you got everything you need.
Yeah.
You got testing. It was like boom, you locked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're locked up.
cared
It was
for.
almost like having a measles party. Like everybody get together.
Yeah.
And we did that. And man, I became a chef in my room. I was just taking advantage of everything. They were so mad that they gave us COVID. I was like, yeah, go get me a microwave and some groceries. Right? I was making egg McMuffins in my room with the microwave. Then I had a pulley system, right, where I was sending stuff to other people.
God.
Yo,
It
man,
must have felt after all that time, and then going back on like the recent tours, where you no longer had to test, you no longer had all of those problems, and it was just, you're headed towards your special. Dave's doing his 200th special,
right?
You're bringing more friends along with you. That had to be such a liberating time, especially for the ones who you were in that.
Yeah, and then we went to celebrate.
You went through something together.
I know this sounds weird, but after we left the bubble, we went back to hating each other again.
What?
No, not hating each other. It was. I was like, man, fuck you, man. I can go over here. I'm telling you, we was forced to be friends, right? We was forced to have camaraderie and everything, right? But I'm gonna tell you something. I will
funny.
say, I did miss the part of being around each other like that.
Yeah.
Like I was like
A different level.
I even thought, I was like, you know what might be cool for this world? I think like once a year we should just have lockdown.
Yeah.
Like a week of lockdown.
Yeah, we're gonna do
where
March.
you stop.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't say Black History Month.
No, I almost did. I almost did.
Yeah.
I was going to say February, and then I saw your joke, and I went to March.
Yeah, let's March. Women's Awareness or whatever it is.
It would commemorate,
Cancer Month or
right?
whatever.
It would commemorate it.
Yeah,
March 12th or whatever.
But it was
I
like,
clocked it.
it was something like, and like, even although after that we still did the summer camp shows, but we couldn't repeat history. It wasn't gonna be. It wasn't gonna be the
it's
same.
not
It was
the
just
same.
something about that.
Yeah.
And we had the and we over here. But it was dope, man. That experience, it was dope. It was really dope.
Now your special, which is A New Day on Netflix.
Yeah.
Joyful, funny, like it's.
You saw it?
You've got a. It's first of all, it's the craft that you've honed for all this time, which is just you're just a killer.
Thank you.
But did you intentionally make it joyful, or was it just what you were talking about?
It felt that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why it was a celebration. Because this wasn't my first stab at it. Like 2 years ago, the deal was, during summer camp, Dave was seeing me every night, right?
Yeah.
I was the only comic every night doing different material. I was the only comic that would incorporate something that happened the day before into it.
Right.
And he's always been a fan, but he was like, God damn. He's like, God damn. Then he came to me, he's like, man, I want to produce your special.
Nice.
I don't ask him. The crazy thing is, my friends, I know this sounds weird, that I don't expect them to do business with me.
Right.
I don't want to talk about, hey, could you do this?
Yeah.
I would like to keep our friendship pure.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to a point where you want to do that, that's one thing. That's how it was with me.
Yeah.
I never said I want to produce a special. I was like, yeah, all right, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So during that time, he got connected to me with that, and we were just going to do it. But we were waiting. We was like, there's no place to perform. So as the COVID protocol and restrictions started lifting up, a certain venues like, yeah, you can do this at 30%. You know what I'm saying? You know how they were like this.
Yeah.
And this. So it was a Fillmore in North Carolina, right? We found the date there. And then people like, why did you pick the Fillmore? I said, because I wanted to get a check, and that was the only venue that we could get.
Right.
I was like, find a spot. I was like, this, let's do it, right? So we did that special, and that it started off like horrible because we lost half of our audience because of the restrictions. You have vaccination cards, and you tested, and also we left half of the audience. And that first show, it was a good show. I got it off, but I had to work too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't supposed to be like a half-filled crowd.
Right.
Whatever. And then Dave was upset with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, everybody, Donnell, you're the only person that did your job.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, he yelled at Robbie Praw. He yelled at everybody. I was like, they're not going to want to work for us.
Yeah.
Right? So that was it. And then the first show, he didn't feel good about that. Then he's like this. He said, Donnell, this is before the second show. He was like, if we don't get it now, we can shoot it again. I hadn't made no money about a year. I was like, no, we're getting it right now.
Yeah.
I need it right now. I don't know when we're going to do this again. So I stepped up to it, and I ripped the room, right? So now we got that in the can, and Earthquake had did a special too.
Right.
So they did the double up. This is called a home team. This is Dave giving opportunities to comics he felt that the industry overlooked, and they needed an opportunity, right? So Earthquake was in the can already. Mine wasn't edited or anything, but it was in the can. Right? So we had announced, did some promos like the part of a home team series, blah, 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 Donna and Earthquake. In fact, it went to press as we both are going to come out.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it went to press as like Donnell and Earthquake specials coming under the umbrella of Pilot Boy Production or whatever. So maybe 2 weeks after the announcement of that, I'm like, we're getting ready. Dave still hasn't really looked at the special. He's slow roll like shit. But I'm like, we're gonna get to it. And then I was in Baltimore about to perform, and he called me, right? 5 minutes before I was going on stage. He was like, yo, D, what's up? I was like, what up, Dave? Oh shit, we about to pop it. He was like, yo, D, I want to shoot your special again. And there was this pause. And he's like this, hello? Like he thought I hung up. He said, hello? I'm like, we going to do what? He said, yo, D, I'm telling you, man, I know it's hard for me to say this. I'm in editing right now. I want to do it again. And I said, Dave, and I shared this story on multiple podcasts. I said, how do we go from me getting a standing ovation, chest bumping Stan Lathan, hugging my son, I brought my son out at the end of the show, like at the end of it, like, hey, to wanting to do it again. He said, Donnell, listen, I can put you in front of any audience and you will rip it.
Yeah.
He said, that doesn't make it a great special.
Wow.
I was like, what? It's funny. He's like, that doesn't make it a great special. I said, you got to talk more. He said, there's a lot of COVID jokes in here. Oh. And what we're trying to do is something evergreen, something that will stand the test of time, something that if you played it 5 years before, it'll be funny. 5 years later, it'll be funny.
Yeah.
He said, and he was like, and I've seen you do those jokes better. And I was like, I know I can do them better. I said, but what was that moment? And for me, practicing for a special like that, there was no place where I could headline or anything. So I was piecing a set together by doing 10 minutes here. Yeah. I used to do, you know, you get the lights. I'm like this, okay, this 10 minutes, I would have to do 10 minutes here, then 10 minutes at another club. I'm like, but I'm going to bring it all together. Yeah, yeah. So I had to really deal with constructive criticism. But then when he told me that, I couldn't be too mad because the check had already cleared. You know, it wasn't like upon delivery of this.
That was my next question. Does it mean you get paid twice?
No, but the first check was enough to cover twice. It could have covered. Yeah, it was unfair. Yeah, yeah. It was not unfair, but for me to be a new jack coming into it, the money he got me was incredible.
No, it's great.
Right. So okay, we're gonna scrap it. I'm like, when are we gonna get this in? So a year after that, we were doing shows in Napa Valley. Dave records everything for archive, history, or whatever. And he looked at one of the producers that produced his show. He looked at it. He said, Ricky, how many cameras do we have here? She said, we got 5. He looks at me and said, yo, you want to shoot your special?
Jeez.
I said, when? He said, tomorrow.
Where? You were in Napa?
Yeah, it was a performance art theater. He said, when? I said, when? He said, tomorrow. And first thing I'm thinking, like, I don't have a suit.
That was my first thing.
I know it was going to be your first thing. Like, what am I going to wear?
What am I going to wear?
I'm like, what am I going to wear, man? The jean suit is out of it. That was the first one.
TJ Maxx.
Right? But I was thinking, because then I was already on my little suit stuff, right? I was like, but my problem was like, I need a tie, right? Because then I'm like, this is going to be classic, right? So I had to drive to San Francisco to get a decent tie
Oh,
and a
my
decent
God.
shirt. But I was like this, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And the thing that excited me about it, because I didn't want the hoopla of like telling my parents or anybody like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, yo.
Takes the pressure off.
The pressure. I was like
Yeah.
this. We were actually about to shoot a special that nobody knew about. It was
That's
only 4
amazing.
people. And I felt that. I was like, I wanted to feel like that. So went up there again, ripped the audience,
It's great.
smoked the
Did
audience.
the audience know it was a special?
Nobody knew.
Did the socks you wore know?
I wasn't on the socks then.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't on the socks. The socks knew it was something special. That color of pop was something different,
That was
right?
amazing.
So I'm like this. Nobody knew, and it made me feel good. I was like this. I wanted to feel like a regular show.
Yes.
That's great.
You know, I said take the pressure off.
Maybe that's why it felt very like conversational.
It felt the second one. Okay, so I ripped that show, right?
Okay.
And I'm like this. Nobody knew we were doing it. Not Netflix or anybody.
Right.
I ripped the show, so I called Robbie Praw.
Yeah.
Right. Mind you, years ago, Robbie Praw, about 5 years ago, I said, Robbie, what do I need to do to be in to have a better conversation with you? I'm asking him about the special, but without asking him.
Yeah.
He said, Donnell, I love you. You're a funny guy. He said, but you got to understand, and I respected it. He said, you got to understand, we tell people no all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like this, I got to continue to be in his face until we get to the point where he can't say no. And that part came when it came to him and Ted Sarana came to Yellow Springs. When they said whether Dave wants to produce a special or not, we want to work with Donnell.
It's so great.
Okay.
But I knew not
That's
to
the
take...
craftsman. That's the
the
beginning
craftsman.
of the story.
Yeah, and I was like this.
It's-
I had an option. They would have probably
Never stopping.
never stopped. They would have gave me a certain amount of money, of which half of it I would have had to put production. I was like, no, let me wait it out. Dave's name attached to it, his expertise, I'll get
Yeah.
whatever. And that happened. So after we shot the show in Santa Rosa, because Robbie was like this, when are we ever going to do this special? So I called him. I was like, Robbie. I was like, yo, we got a special. He was like, let me see it. I was like, because nobody knew. I was like, you
Yeah.
ain't going to believe what we just did.
So,
But let me tell you. So
Yeah.
I was like, we got a special, right? He's like, nobody's going to believe. I was like, you're not going to believe we got a special. He was like, well, send it to me, right? So I'm like, we got this. I had the suit on, and I knew I was like, go for the old school. Go for the Richard Pryor live at Sunset Strip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I made sure I had a wired mic. I said, let's make it simple.
Yeah.
Just a black stool, a spot. Let's just make it simple. Let the focus, not on the production of it, but me and
Yeah.
the jokes. 2 weeks of that, Dave was like, I want to do it again.
What?
Yo. Then I said, why? He said, I didn't like the production. I was like, you're the producer. Is this an example of self-hate? Respect my boundaries, right? So that one's dead. I'm like, I ain't doing this no more. I'm like, I'm keeping the money. That's all I know. Y'all got to sue me or it just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God. So I was like, when are we going to ever get this date on? I'm looking at my schedule. I don't want to pass up no weekends. I'm making decent money now, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I got the New York Comedy Festival coming up, right? It's a dope venue there. I was like, and then I looked at Dave's schedule. I was like, hey, why don't we don't have to worry about it. It killed 2 birds with one stone.
Yeah.
We didn't have to rent a space out. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
just bring the cameras.
does he have cameras everywhere? Like 5 cameras on every show?
Not every show, at least 3.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, like, if you can afford to do that, like, when I tell you, whenever, and I don't want him to die or anything, but the archive, you know what I'm saying? What you know what I mean? But what he's setting up
There's
for his
going to be some
kids.
footage.
Oh, my God. Right? So, and
Wow.
now I'm like this. Now, we're going to the 3rd time, right? Now, I'm all the homework he told me about those jokes, like, I'm doing my homework.
Yeah.
Every time he had a criticism about something, I changed it. I changed it. When I did it the first time, I was dressed like a rock star. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you a rock star. We had, like, damn near fire coming out the backstage, lights and everything. I come out like, yeah. He was like, you're a rock star. Then he was like, I don't. Then he saw me start wearing suits. He was like, I don't think you're a rock star.
You're a banker.
Yeah, that was disrespectful. That was so disrespectful. So you might as well say you were going to a funeral. Somebody died.
That was a sharp suit. Whatever I saw, I don't know if it was special number 8. I don't know how many you guys shot. Whatever I saw was sharp.
But look, so now I'm like, now I'm listening to everything that he said from don't do these jokes, but think about this. And man, when I tell you I went to the drawing board, I was like, things that I was always successful with, being animated, which I didn't lose on this special.
Yeah.
I could get away with a lot of stuff. Being animated, my voice is distinct. I could sell a joke. I was like, with my body, being physical. But I said, now, Donnell, if you're going to crash this, he kept on saying, be precise, be precise. So then I was like, you know what? Now I got to work on my writing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I want.
Just the words.
I can't waste a word, Tom.
Yeah.
I said, I can't waste a word. Any word I say has got to mean something. And I said, I want to write this where if somebody made this a transcript, you could read this entire set. Some white boy shit. That's what white guys do.
I know what you're saying.
White guys and Chris Rock. I had to turn it to you.
I went through the same thing where I stopped taking the mic out of the mic stand because I'm like, how much am I just hamming it up?
Right.
And how much is legit funny?
Then I was like, now if I take it back, then I know if I take it back to make it everywhere count, then I put the Donnell on it, it's gonna be cruel. I said, and that set, you saw, you could literally read that set and it would be funny.
That's right.
You know?
That's
so
right.
I was like, what is gonna make this difference? So when I got that down, then I was like on the clock. I was like, on the clock. This can go to this can go to that. And then I think that what you saw was a combination of the first time, second time, and the third time. And even I tell comedy is very subjective on what style of comedy you like. And I'm not telling people it's the funniest thing in the world. But what I am telling people, it's the best feeling in the world.
Right.
I'm telling you, it feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
Even a couple weeks ago, Dave said, I think it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I mean. Joyful. Did you feel like at the end of all of this and finally getting it out, what would have happened if you had released one of the earlier ones?
I think it would have been dead in the water.
Really?
The first one would have been dead in the water. The second one probably would have had some life. But if I wish I had a copy of it. And I understood what he was saying. He was like, Donnell, there's people he's big on production. He tell me all the time, don't skim on production.
Right.
Now I had an excuse for it, not an excuse, but I had an answer to it. That first one, he said there was because nobody knew it was a special, so you didn't have an audience coordinator say you can't get up and go to the bathroom.
Right.
So people were acting as if it was a comedy club, like, oh, let me go get on my phone, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like this. All I kept on saying, motherfucker, is it funny?
Yeah.
I was like, he was like, and then the lighting and this, I saw a shadow. I said, can we handle it in post? Then he was like, and then the people, I was like, well, Richard Pryor live at Sunset Strip, you could tell they didn't have an audience coordinator. And one of his biggest jokes is like, look at the white people coming from the bathroom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look at them, y'all late. They're like, hell, motherfucker, where's my seat? You know, and I wanted that energy. That's even with, I didn't do cordless mic. I did a wired mic. I did a stool.
Yeah.
Just a glass of water. That one would have went. But I'm so glad that I waited because the intro of this shit is so dope. When you see me break the stage, just everything resonates.
Right.
It's a new day.
Right.
It feels good.
Yeah.
It don't feel like a guy's up there like, well, I got paid for this. Or if like, man, I was so into that.
Yeah.
There was nobody up in the balconies. But I said, it's showtime, bro.
Right.
I was waving at people who wasn't even there. You know what I'm talking about over there. I was like, yeah, But it felt good. And even though, and the crazy thing about it was, you know, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to what we feel is the best stuff.
Yeah.
That first set, producer came up to me and was like, we got what we need.
Right.
Oh.
That's a good thing because like now I said, oh, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You said we got what we need. But Ricky Hughes, like I know when she's excited about something, I see her dimples. And I didn't see any dimples. I was like, I need dimples. Yeah. Right? I had the suit on.
Yeah.
And I have my friend Kara Pearson. She was so good with me with the writing. She was like, bah, bah, bah. Like when I got up there, said, I knew I came up short. Right? I had to shake it. And then Ricky said, we got what we need. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. I was like, everybody get out. I want Kira to come in right now. She came in like a coach. I was like, what did I miss? Okay, you missed this. You did this. She was like this. She did this. And then she said, and then we talk about what the product. She was like, yo, it was so funny down there. She said, after we went through that, I went out the room. She said, I saw you. You just had your hoodie on. I didn't want to be around anybody. I told everybody to leave. I wanted to get into my space because I know this is it.
That's the hardest part.
So you had 2 shows that night?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first show I did it, and I know, and it wasn't bad, but I didn't get my thing off.
Yeah.
I didn't need the bread, if you want to say.
I've never done a special where I've had more than 1 show.
Really?
Never. I've just never had the opportunity. It's not that I wouldn't want that.
Right.
I know some people that do 4 sets, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and they cut and they were in the same outfit and they cut in between. I'm just like, what a dream. I've never
The first time I
had
did one,
that.
like this is my first Netflix, was like maybe 11 years ago. I did a special where when I look at it, it was a joke dump. I just dumped jokes. It was these jokes I've been traveling with. I was like, just let me get out here.
Yeah.
No segues, no nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a 1 shot, 1 kill.
Yeah.
And I had to drop everything. I was like, well, they're going to have to figure out how to edit this. I'm doing all my jokes. I don't even think I had a big close. I was like, put it together.
Yeah.
Right.
But this one and that second one, I felt like, okay, we are not, there's no way we're shooting this. The third time, there's no way.
Right.
And something happened. I took that goddamn suit off. I turned the lights off. I burnt the candle. I put that hoodie on. I told everybody get out of my green room. And when they cracked, and then the song that I came out to, normally when that song comes on, the crowd is like, it's like they're excited, but they don't know what's going to happen. But this crowd was so energized that they clapped the whole way until I hit the stage. I was like, when you get that energy, how can you go? And I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I felt one thing, it's the burial of your jokes, but sometimes now you still got to go on the road. So you mix it up a little bit until it drops. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and I had to stop because I kept adding stuff, and I was like, I can't get connected to this joke. Yeah. But I think in that moment there was nothing else I could do.
Oh, that's great. It's kind of like the story you're telling about doing the special is really a parallel for your career.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with waiting. You're just getting stronger. I always say it's like a slingshot. It's like you're just
until
pulling
you have like certain bills, you be like,
just
we got to do it right now.
Yeah. I know.
You have kids.
But it's potent. Yeah. But it's potent, And
it felt like I said, like it just feels. It really feels special, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I was like, you'll beat yourself up trying to please everybody. Even Dave told me, I was like, man, he said, man, only thing we can do is put the best thing we can do out. Yeah. And it's up to them to decide. But when I look at it, I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. I got some ways I know. Because I was still doing the jokes. I was like, remember where I do the jokes? I was like, these jokes constantly kill.
Yeah.
I was like, these are, like, I said to myself, this is going to be an album with like 7 banging singles.
Right. Yeah.
And
right.
And to be quite honest,
which is huge.
And I said, I want this to be like every bit I could have closed the show on.
Right. That's a good mentality. All right. Now let me ask you this. You were talking about my pervy bread, and you were talking about how you were the guy creating food during COVID. Mm-hmm. When you accomplish something and you have an achievement, you're special. Now the special's out. What's the food that you celebrate with?
Southern is so easy.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
That makes you happy?
Yeah, watching people eat makes me happy.
Uh-huh.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like watching people eat. Like, I'm not a chef or anything. I just like to cook, right?
Uh-huh.
And people always like, when are you going to sit down? If you do the same thing, like, when are you going to sit down and eat? Never.
Right.
I'm not celebrating.
So watching them eat something that you made.
Yeah. And
okay,
even when I host parties or whatever, people are like, when are you going to enjoy yourself? That's not what I enjoy. If I want to enjoy myself at a party, I go to somebody else's party and take over.
Right.
Like my friends are like this. This is my birthday, right? I'm the one that's the drunkest and everything. But my parties, I love just to see people interact. I love people to embrace each other.
Yeah.
And have a good
What
time.
do you make when it's your party?
I'm all over the place, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I know you got some type of fettuccine or something like you like slide like that. My
Yeah,
joint
I
might
made
be like
meatballs
fish.
the other night.
Yeah, mine might be fish, ribs, you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Risotto. When I first learned how to make risotto,
Yeah.
I was showing them to every function with risotto.
You came with a
They
big
were like
cheese
this, it's
wheel?
a 4th of July barbecue. Who brings risotto to a barbecue? I'm like, me, motherfucker. I'm a black person that make risotto.
I've
but-
never made risotto.
You know? Oh, it's
No.
Because, you talk stuff like this, it takes time.
Yeah.
It's just like somebody doing
gotta
gumbo. They're like
stir.
it's the roux and everything. But I'm so all over the place with it.
Yeah, that's
I just
great.
I like to watch people, like, as you would say, break bread and have a good time.
That's great.
And I can follow a recipe.
Was your mom a good cook?
No.
No.
She was a creative cook.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, what's for dinner? Like, she would look in the cabinet and like, this is what used to piss me off. She had a Publishers Clearinghouse subscription, like Betty Crocker, these cooking cards.
Yeah.
And she had all these goddamn cooking cards, but never had this shit to make it.
Oh, right.
Like,
Always missing one ingredient.
yeah, we
Yeah,
opened like this.
that's the
oh,
worst.
man. Like, no, it wasn't one ingredient. It was all the
All the
ingredients.
ingredients.
It was
She's just reading you the card.
Yeah, and I'm like this, oh man, yo, when I get this special, right? I'm like, I can't wait to get a job just so I can make this shit off of here. But when I say creative, she would just whip up like weird stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it just made, she was like, she would just look in the cabinet and was like, what is, there's nothing here. Then it'd be like, check this out, just salmon cakes and beans or something like that. But I think that's
amazing.
what made me get like excited about just the idea of just creating. I mean, you know Tony
Yeah.
Woods, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Love Tony.
Tony Woods, I remember one time he had an issue with one of his girlfriends at the time, right? Because I had spent the night at his house one day and I had whipped up something, right? And Tony's not really a cook, right?
Yeah.
And then she was like, She was like this. Who made this? And then Tony was like, Donnell made that. She was like, you trying to tell me? Yeah. It's a bitch involved somewhere. You trying to tell me that motherfucker can cook this shit? Yo, he got in trouble like she didn't believe me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Donnell, this was so great. Thank you for coming here.
I'm sorry for blocking you in.
I was so
It wasn't your fault. But I am going to find that blonde ponytail.
I knew you wanted a blonde ponytail.
I have a few words
You don't
for
know my
her.
reputation, not reputation, but I'll just say I like to frequent the farmer's market.
I love that you thought we met at a farmer's market.
No, that's where I usually meet white people. They call me 31 flavors. They call me Baskin Rawlings for years. So.
Hilarious.
Nah, but I'm happy. I'm telling you, when
Yeah.
you're doing these press runs or whatever, you don't get excited about seeing everybody.
right.
It's some people, because I know I got one after this, I'm dreading doing this. Because I know it's going to be, so what happened with you and Corey Holcomb at the... But I got to do it.
No,
But when I knew you were on the list, man, I was like, yeah, that's my dog. I'm so
Yeah,
happy.
me too. And when we saw each other in Montreal
Yeah.
last summer when we were doing that airplane thing,
The airplane table read.
the table read, and it was a crowded room. There's like a ton of people around, and it's just like all the chaos before we're doing the show. And Donnell and I just kind of like curled up. We're like, here's my people, and we could just
Yeah,
it
like,
made
I'm
everything
relaxed.
calm and
It's not a
joyful.
pressure, like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
The festival not like it used to be. And I guess because it's not breaking talent like it used to.
Yeah.
I think it's like a big reunion. Like, hey, remember me?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to manage him and everything. But
Yeah.
back in the day, it was breaking people. Like,
Yeah.
people was walking out there with development deals and everything. But
But for us to be like, it was just like,
cool.
we
This
just
one
know each
motherfucker.
other, love each other. It
Yeah.
was like, it was a nice moment.
Yeah,
And
because it feels so there.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Bruce. You do a good job, but
yeah.
I was there for 2 weeks too, so you could tell. You
Well,
know,
that's
that could
too
be
long.
That's way
Yeah,
too long.
That's too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they trick you like, yeah, you got to.
Because you're awake for 2 weeks. Because no one goes to bed at those. You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
but
It's
I
just
mean,
like
I'm not-
5 a.m.
I'm not opposed to going, but I would it was something like I've been there for a couple of days, do a couple of theater shows, but I was bouncing around like doing spots and stuff. But
Well, the next time I post a video of making bread, just know when I'm looking in the camera, I'm thinking about you.
and when you do that,
You guys are talking again next Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately.
Oh,
good.
yeah. Oh, cool.
and then put parental advisory suggested.
Right.
All right, thanks for having me,
Thanks,
man.
man.